Recent evidence shows that the United States spends 50% more than any other developed nation on health insurance, yet still only ranks 11th in the world in quality of care. It seems that we are doing something drastically wrong if we are spending more than other developed countries combined and still not coming out ahead. At the end of the day, the role of the government is and will always be to ensure that more people have access to quality healthcare. So when it comes to today's resolution, the United States should end the tax exemption for employer-sponsored health insurance. I am overwhelmingly proud to stand in strong affirmation. Under today's framework of human life, understand that we must weigh the benefits of innovative alternatives to our current system over every other negative impact. To begin, I'd like to take a look at what exactly the employer-sponsored health insurance tax exemption looks like and how it works. The Tax Policy Center tells us that employer-paid premiums for health insurance are exempt from federal, income, and payroll taxes. Furthermore, the portion of premium employees pay is typically excluded from taxable income. The exclusion of this premium lowers most workers' tax bills and thus reduces their after-tax cost of coverage. However, how this tax exemption is implemented is completely unequal. And this brings me to my first point. The employer exemption justifies the lowering of workers' wages. The New York Times tells us that tax loopholes like this one have contributed to a shift of workers' benefits. Consequently, employers have started bulking up on non-taxable benefits like health insurance at the cost of increasing workers' wages. Kaiser corroborates this when they find that from 1994 to 2014, employer spending on health insurance increased 3 times, while wages only doubled. The impact of this cannot be understated. While companies are spending more on health insurance, they are doing so at the cost of increasing their workers' wages. But next, understand that the employer tax exemption is regressive. The Tax Policy Center continues to find that the employer-sponsored healthcare tax exemption is regressive because it gives a greater tax break to those who are higher income tax brackets. Because the exclusion of premiums for employer-sponsored insurance reduces taxable income, it overwhelmingly benefits taxpayers in higher tax brackets than those in lower tax brackets. But even further, empirics corroborate this when the Joint Committee on Taxation finds that the average savings for a tax filer with an income of under $30,000 is less than $1,000. While an individual with an income above $200,000 can get a $4,000 savings credit. Now understand, the United States was founded upon egalitarian principles. I don't think the amount of coins or dollars in your wallet should determine your family's access to quality healthcare. But finally, by removing this specific tax loophole, you can actually increase federal revenue, thereby creating a better system. Evidence from the Congressional Budget Office explains that tax exemptions for employer-sponsored healthcare cost the United States government about $280 billion every single year, meaning it is the third largest federal spending project after Medicare and Medicaid. But while opponents of this stipulation will argue that the costs of this program justify the ends, meaning more Americans are insured, empirics do not back this up. Because the New York Times in 2014 tells us that if the federal government were to close this tax loophole, it would have enough federal revenue to completely insure all 42 million people who don't have insurance. Conclusively, I advocate that we close this loophole and instead use our saved funds for alternatives that actually benefit the people, especially our low-income constituents. One of these examples could be expanding the income-based tax credit under the Affordable Care Act. Philly.com tells us that this credit has already been used to help insure 9.8 million people ever since the ACA passed. However, right now it's under threat of losing funds. By using the funds saved from closing this tax loophole, we can make a more equitable system that doesn't spur employees to cut wages and doesn't give greater benefits to those from higher tax brackets.